Hi, welcome to Culture Shock. So I spent the last week in Botswana and South Africa helping companies deal with core values, helping them to discover their core values and sort of create a narrative to sort of explain their culture to other people, new people, people inside the organization and so on. And it's an important word, that discover core values. When I speak about that, the core values process, I'm always talking about discovering them rather than developing them or designing them or anything like that. Because I think anything that is core to you must have a backstory. There must be a reason that it's there. You've experienced something, you've had this impact, whatever it might be, you've decided that that's the way it's got to be from now on. You understand why that's critical to the organization. It's a core value because you've got a backstory, and you can explain that backstory because it's clear to you why that has to be the case. I think if you're choosing values that are anything other than those sorts of things, if you don't have a backstory, if you don't have a way of explaining this to people in a way that'll make them kind of go, okay, well, that's irrefutable, I get why that's important to you, then what you really are is you're developing a set of preferences which people may or may not drift in and out of. And it's really hard to measure. It's really hard to do. That's why organizations, typically ones that have really thought this through, only have 4 or 5 or 6 core values. There's very few things that you can think of where you've had a near-death experience or a super life experience or something like that where you've gone, it has to be like that from now on. There aren't 100 of those things. Those few things are your core values. And like I say, they've got to have a backstory. Now here's the thing, okay? If you're trying to find people who match your core values and you haven't got things that are absolutely core, you've just got sort of a generic set of pretty words to kind of tick the box and put on the walls and hopefully people will stick to. If you've got that kind of generic set of core preferences instead of a set of core values, you know who matches those? Anybody, especially when they're being interviewed. It's really hard to find people who match your core values like that. And so you may as well not bother trying. And so the question is, how do we find people who match our core values? Honestly, haven't got a clue. But if you've got a set of genuine core values with a backstory, with a reason, things that you can explain, then you don't necessarily need people who match those core values. You just need people who are adaptive enough to be able to go, yeah, I get why that's important when I'm here. And then, figuratively, when they enter the office doors, on Monday morning and they walk out of South Africa and into Happy Sandpit land, they know that the core values here, they know what they are, they know why they matter, they understand intellectually why they're important, and they can adapt and go ahead and pursue those. Even though they may not necessarily be their own inherent core values, when they leave in the afternoon, they go back through passport control, through the front door and out into the world, well, they may do whatever they want to do, right? That doesn't matter. But the core values here are ones that they're able to adapt to. And most people can. When you travel overseas, you go into a different country, you go somewhere very strange, you learn how things are done, you do it their way. Most people, not everybody does. So here's maybe something that you can do. If you think about, I always think about tourists and explorers and people looking for citizenship as 3 distinct categories of people. And they specifically apply to levels of adaptiveness, right? So you're a tourist. This might be somebody who goes to a foreign country and they seek out, the Englishman who goes to Spain and seeks out an English pub where they're showing the football and where they can get English beer and have an all-day English breakfast. And all they really experience of Spain is the sun and the sand. They didn't really go there. In fact, they actively avoided anything that was Spanish. I know a Greek guy who went to Japan for 2 weeks once, and he nearly starved to death by day 3 until he discovered a Greek restaurant down the back street of Tokyo somewhere, and then had 3 meals a day there. These people are poor at adapting, and poor adapters are not going to be people who are going to be very good at embracing your core values. You're right to go, how do we find people who have our core values if that's your experience, because you're finding people who just don't care about them. But it's the person. It might be the way you phrase the values. It's also the person that's the problem. Explorers are different. Explorers are people who get up in the morning in Morocco, first morning in Morocco, and they go, I wonder what they have for breakfast around here. This is going to be so cool to find out. They're really good at adapting. They're somewhere new and they're going, let's embrace, let's go for it. And then, of course, there's people looking for citizenship. Now, I know people who've been given citizenship of, say, the UK, the United States. They actually learn American and British history before they do tests. They become better at explaining the place than a particular South African chap who earned British citizenship became so knowledgeable about British history that I learned from him. And I was born there, right? So those people are like really super adaptive, really super adaptable. They'd be really, really good at embracing your core values, but they're few and far between. These people in the middle, these explorers, that's what you're looking for. You're looking for people who've shown some sort of a historical ability to adapt and change and embrace new things. If you can find that, and you set a core value, you develop a set of core values that you can explain in a detailed and energetic way, you probably tick all those boxes. And if you don't, well, you're probably still going to be asking that question next year, because there isn't a sane answer to this that I can think of otherwise. Anyway, that's food for thought for me for this week. I hope it's food for thought for you, and I wish you a very pleasant week.